10 Rizandom Mizagic cards Rizated. Day number 204, everybody. TGIF, it is the final day of spoilers, although I'm pretty sure all the Ether Drift spoilers were actually released yesterday. Today, on the timeline, I'm getting together with my friend Power Dragon to talk about some under and overrated cards. You'll get that video soon if you're watching this now. But apart from that, we got to actually look at cards. We got to get through this video. So let's look at Tribute to Hunger. This is an Innistrad. 3 mana, 2 and a black for an instant. Target opponent sacks a creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So you're not going to play this too often. It was just reprinted in Foundations in case you want to play it in Standard. But again, I'm not sure you do. Boy, I like how they went into the editing software and turned up the saturation. Look at that. So this is the Innistrad, the original art. And then through the magic of computers, we can make it look like there was color in it to begin with. Good job, though, Dave Kendall. Maybe they actually desaturated this piece to begin with because Innistrad was supposed to be all bleak and gray and stuff. So maybe it started off more saturated. They desaturated it on purpose. I don't want to say. Either way, this is not. I mean, it's Edict Effect where you gain life. I guess certain life gain decks might care because they want to play removal spells, but even then, I'm not sure how good a card like this is going to be at 3 mana. You want your edicts to be 2 or even 1, you know? You just looked at, what is it, Innocent Blood the other day? That's a 1 mana edict that affects everyone at the table. Sick. This, nah. So I'm going to put like a 3.2 on this and kind of move on. Ratchet Bomb is up next from Scars of Mirrodin. 2 mana for an artifact. You can tap it to put a charge counter on it. You can also tap it and sacrifice it to destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Ratchet Bomb. So there's a bunch of cards like this. The OG was probably Powder Keg, and the best is probably Chalice of the Void. But in between, we get everything from Ratchet Bomb to, Filigree Silex. And some are better than others. The problem, or I guess the good thing, is that none of these cards are bad. I don't feel like there's a single card they've ever printed like this that is just straight up awful. So I'm still kind of a fan of Ratchet Bomb. Note that it's equal to, not less than or equal to. Again, it depends on which one of these effects you're looking at. In this case, it's just equal to. But that can make it to where you target important permanents that maybe you don't have, but your opponent does. Altogether, Ratchet Bomb is just a cool card. It always has been. I'm going to give this, say, wow, you can get this promo for less than $1. I really feel like that's worth it. It's kind of cool to have the promo version of a card. It's less than $1. It's a pretty playable Magic card. I have to stop stalling. First of all, ask the audience. Haven't done it in like 3 days. What do you guys give Ratchet Bomb? Where does it sit in the paradigm of powder kegs? Where does it sit on the Chalice Court? Where does it sit on the Filigree Silex stage? I'm trying to come up with more alliteration here, and I really can't. As far as Oblivion Stone somethings, that's alliterative. What is it? Where does she sit? I think I'm going to give Ratchet Bomb a 5.3. And I'm actually really tempted to give it a higher score because any deck can play it, and some really good things about this. But in my experience, sometimes cards like this, and Ratchet Bomb is a perfect example of a card like this that you have this problem with. It just doesn't pick up all the permanents you need it to, and that can be a problem. It's also just a little too slow sometimes. So, Lavaclaw reaches, although it can blow up all the tokens. The last thing I'll say, it can blow up all the tokens without, it just comes into play and taps and does that. Anyway, Lavaclaw reaches is up next. What do you do? Okay, this is a man land. This is originally printed in Worldwake. It's a land that ETB's tapped. You can tap it for black or red. And you can pay 1 black-red until end of turn. It becomes a 2/2 black and red elemental creature with X. This creature gets +X+0 until end of turn. And it is still a land. So, one of the first dual man lands. We didn't really have a lot of creature lands that were dudes back in the day that also made double mana. Pretty slick, kid. But, the fact that if you have a bunch of extra mana in the late game, you can just make this huge is pretty good post sweeper or whatever, stuff like that. So, Lavaclaw Reach is always going to be halfway decent, to my mind at least. So, I'm going to give this, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm going to give this a 7.1 because, first of all, dual land. Second of all, man land. So, man dual. Pretty high score. Underdark Basilisk is up next. The It's the monster manual art. This is the actual art. This is 1 and a green for a 1/2 basilisk with death touch. This is in the mono green cube. I've actually resolved this card a whole bunch because it's in the like death touch archetype, but you also don't mind playing a death touch creature in limited like almost ever, so long as it costs 1 to 2 mana. So yeah, it's in like the Finn the Fangbearer archetype in mono green cube, or it's just a guy that you don't mind playing. Need a lot of death touch creatures in mono green cube because they double as removal spells kind of, and they keep combat honest. So really liked him there, but obviously he's not very good. I'm just going to give this a 1.9. I'm a big fan of death touch, but he's not that great. Arc Trail is from Scars of Mirrodin originally. This is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a sorcery that deals 2 damage to a creature or a player, and 1 damage to another creature or player. Believe it or not, this saw some play back in the day because there were the perfect sort of lines to pick some stuff up with it. I didn't see all the play in the world, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, but it was, you occasionally see this out of sideboards and stuff. That said, Arc Lightning is typically better. It's still sorcery speed like Arc Lightning is, so I don't think you're going to like catch them during their attack step or something like that. They made bad blocks or whatever it is. That said, cards like this are still like pretty good most of the time. So I'm just going to give this a 4.6 because I think it's a serviceable removal spell, although it's probably been outclassed a number of times at this point in history. Move on to Goldwardens Gambit. What the heck are you? You're from Phyrexian Albo Commander. 8 mana, 6 and 2 red for a sorcery with affinity for equipment. Okay. Create 5 2/2 red rebel creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. For each of those tokens, you may attach an equipment you control to it. So, if I have 5 equipment, this costs 3 to cast, and I can instantly equip all 5 of my equipment to different rebels, and they all gain haste. That seems very fun. That seems so fun. You're putting 10 haste power into play and just throwing equipment onto it. Colossus Hammer, anybody? Stuff. I don't know. It's cute. But in your red-white equipment stack, it does require a lot of it. I mean, I just said, what if I have 5 equipments? What, I live in Christmas Town? You know what I'm saying? What, do I live at the Home Depot to have that many equipments? Does that even make sense? This... I think it does on some level. This probably, let's say I have 3 equipments. So it costs 5. That's still not that bad. I was trying to talk myself out of it, but 5 mana for 5 2/2s is, I can think of worse Magic cards. I don't know. I just can't bring myself to hate this, guys. 4.8. It's really narrow. It only goes in equipment decks. It does ask that you have a fair number of equipments, and it costs the moon. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of things keeping the card down. But boy, that, once you actually cast it, I feel like it's pretty good. And it's not as hard to cast as it looks. So I don't know. It's not terrible. Dwarven Soldier is, though. This is from Fallen Empires. It's 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 2/1 dwarf. Whenever it's whenever blocks or is blocked by orcs, it gets +2 or +0 +2 till end of turn. So little upside if it's blocked by orcs, but we used to play this just because it's a 2 mana 2/1. This, believe it or not, make no mistake, saw play way back in the old mono red aggro decks of the day. This is the art that I think most people are most familiar with, this Randy Asplin Faith art. It's definitely the coolest. It's got the most color. He's fighting a dragon. You don't see a whole lot of dwarves fighting dragons. I hope he wins. That's not an orc. He's not fighting an orc. I don't know why that's not an orc at all. He's probably going to die. And of course, everybody likes Douglas Schuler, so this is kind of neat art too. But yeah, this guy actually saw some play just for being a 2 mana 2/1 with no real downside in red. Whereas previously Ironclaw Orcs was our only 2 mana 2 power creature in red. It's the only option, and it has a downside. So this card is, part of Magic history, but I can't even really force an honorary 5 on it. It's not good. Let's just put... That condition's never going to come up, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. But unless it gets blocked by a changeling, But I'm just going to put a 2 on this. It's, there was a point where this card was a 5. Imagine that. Next is Wildheart Invoker. 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for a 4/3 elf shaman. Target creature gets +5/+5 and gains trample till end of turn. That's a pretty good activated ability, right? Well, it costs 8 mana to do that. At least it's 8 mana of any color. It can target itself. Fun mana sink and limited and all that, but, come on. Come on, man. I think I'm going to put like just not really talk too much more about it and give it a 2.1, something like that. It probably doesn't deserve that. Phyrexian Tribute from Only Mirage is up next. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a sorcery. Sack 2 creatures, destroy target artifact. So why do I have to sack 2 creatures? Because I want to. And also because black doesn't normally get this line of text. Destroy target artifact. This is part of the reserve list for a reason. It's actually not the worst card in the world for, Ellis Core decks and other decks that might need a thing to bust an artifact. I need to order this card. Order Phyrexian Tribute. I need that in my life right now. See, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play this card. So I love how this border, I don't know if it's this border, I don't know if it's this expansion symbol, but it literally makes any art look amazing. Like it makes any Magic card printed in this frame with this expansion symbol look really good. I'm not saying this is bad art or anything, but like John Matson art is definitely, the card looks really cool. The card looks so cool. Even with like, it's not that it's bad art. It's just like nebulous and it's kind of, in some places you can't really tell what's going on and all, you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to throw too much shade at John here. I'm not an artist. He is. This looks really good. But at the same time, I guess the point I'm making is that Mirage, every single card in Mirage looks good. I don't know how they pulled that off, but card is fantastic because it gives black a way to do a thing that it really just does not have that many ways of doing, if hardly any. So I'm going to give this a 5.2. Really steep cost here, but again, black just does not get the ability to do this, and often it wants to sack creatures anyway, so who cares? But final card of the day is not Selesnya Guildgate, although I do like this frame. I like this frame treatment. It's actually Steelbane Hydra. Big old turtle Hydra here from Throne of Eldraine. This is 2 green and X for a 0/0 turtle Hydra that enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can also pay 2 and a green and remove a +1/+1 counter from Hydra to destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's gross. It's actually pretty good, man. Since this was, well, no, this is just in regular Throne. This was just in regular Throne. Was it an intro pack thing that you can't get out of normal boosters or something like that? Because I feel like I would remember it otherwise. I don't remember ever having really seen this card in my life, and it's just from normal old Throne. That's wild. It's still $6.66 at its absolute lowest cost to get a copy of this card. Which is kind of insane. That's a good bit of mana, that's a good Magic player words. It's a good bit of money, but I can see why. I mean, normal Hydra casting cost in a way. I guess we just call that normal Hydra casting cost. 2 and then X. But yeah, just basically, I mean, even if it only comes into play with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, that is 2, disenchants you can cast. And obviously it's going to get more counters. There's a million ways to put counters on it, and you're going to do all of them. So yeah, this card seems nasty, dude. 6.3 for Steelbane. 6.3. It's it's basically modal. Any creature with X and its casting cost is scalable, and that's a form of modality. God, it seems good. That seems so good to me. I know she no good, but she good to me. That is the final card of the day, everybody. 13 and a half minutes in. And I think we hit a good one to end the day. Let me know how you feel about Steelbane. You're aware of this card, right? I'm the only one in the world that wasn't aware of this card. Right? I'm sure that maybe I knew about it at some point, just put it out of my head. That's called having standard brain. As soon as a card leaves standard, you're just like, oh yeah, that card? I forgot about that card. For anything. But yeah, let me know how you feel about this, because I completely forgot this ever existed, if I knew in the first place. But that is it for today. I will see you on Saturday morning. One Saturday morning. Did that bring memories back for any of you? Did for me. Love you guys. Bye.